Hi everyone, it's Mark, and I'm answering one of your questions today. Earlier in the week, I was asked as a therapist, what is it we can do to rebuild a relationship with an alienated child? And this is an interesting question because there's a lot of things we can do, and there's a lot of things people do that are very wrong and can actually push it back. So I'm going to answer this for you in a moment. For those of you who don't know me, let me introduce myself. I'm the mental health therapist for Papa. We run on the second Tuesday of each month a mental health workshop, which is for the Papa Plus members. We record it and we put that into the membership area. And it gives you an awful lot of tools to look after your mental health because alienation is one of the worst things for really pushing your mental health into the drain. And we do need to go through, including me, I've been through this as well. We need to work on our mental health every day. And I give you as much in the way of free information and tips for the Papa Plus members in that section. So go and have a look at it, and I'd love to see you at the next workshop. So, what can we do to rebuild a relationship with a child? So, first of all, I'm going to cover what we don't do. And the first thing is don't rush it. That child's been through hell. I know we have as well, but the children are the victims. We need to give it time. We don't want to rush this. We want to do it nice and slowly and rebuild that relationship at a speed that's right for your child. So just take your time with that. And the second big thing to avoid at all costs is don't go saying who did this and who did that and making the other parent out to be the person that they are. These narcissistic parents are awful, but your children don't want to hear this. So don't talk about that. Instead, we want to talk about positive things. But before we do, before we have the meeting, set the intention. Set in your mind how you want to come across to your child and how you'd like that meeting to go. If you go in there really nervous, thinking it's going to go wrong, if you've got that daft idea in your head, you could attract that to happen. But we need to change it, use the same tool of how would I like this to go? That you'd like to have a nice time with a child, that the communication's going to be open, that you're going to have a laugh, you're going to have a joke, maybe have a hug further down the line. I don't know when that happens. It varies from person to person. Just set that positive intention, sit and daydream on it. Imagine that you're actually pulling that in. The power of an intention, the power of attraction is very powerful. And just really spend some time figuring how you want that meeting to go. And that helps you to get into a good mental state. And that's the second tip is we need to get into that positive mental state. We need to be relaxed, calm, confident, in control for that meeting to go the best that it can. If you're negative in any way, your child is going to pick up on this. So it's really important to do that. The best way to do that is we have a technique that we've covered in the mental health workshops that are recorded, and it's called the positive revive. And that is where we go back to a time when we're very happy, relaxed, confident, calm, whatever it is, and we learn to turn that into a color and spin it and push up your posture. And I'd say practice that exercise as much as you can. It'll do you the world of good to learn and master that technique. It's very simple, and I've done it for years. And now it's like before I go into any session, I just flick a switch in my head and I turn into the therapist version of Mark. And it works really nicely when I'm dealing with those difficult clients. So learn to do that yourself. So that's the positive revive in the mental health workshops, which I think is under resources. So really work to get yourself into a good mental state. And then we need to focus on the child and get into their interests. And this is where we want to ask open questions. So imagine your child has a best friend called Billy. If you turn around and said, have you seen Billy lately? That's going to be a yes or a no answer. That's a closed answer because it really doesn't lead anywhere else. But if we ask an open question of, what have you been doing with Billy lately? How is Billy doing? If their best friend is Billy, ask about the interest, but ask open questions. And a good tip here is if you can't think of them yourself, is go onto ChatGPT and ask. It's a wonderful tool. What are the best open questions to ask a 10-year-old boy or girl or whatever the situation asks for? You could write them down. Don't take them with you, but just get some questions prepared. Ask them how school's going, if they're into a certain pop star, if they're into a certain film or series. This is what we want to do, is we want to get interested in them and talk about it at their level. Don't talk about you unless you're asked. Talk about them. The next thing and the last thing I'm going to go through, and this is such a big one, is build some rapport. Now, rapport is when two people or more are in a relationship and they get on really well. There's almost like a magic power that flows between them. So I love to go to restaurants or coffee shops and I watch people. I watch what's going on. And if you've got a couple who are just going out in the first early months and they're really into each other, you'll notice there's almost like a dance. And this is where one will take a bite to eat, and within 30 seconds, so will the other. And one will then take a drink, and so will the other. One will lean to one side, and the other one will do this. One might cross their arms, and the other will cross their arms or their legs within a minute or so. It's amazing, and it's hard not to laugh when you're watching this happening. Now, there are things that we can do to increase rapport, and we have to use them nicely and ethically. And first thing is start to notice your child or the other person and notice what they're doing, and then we start to model them. So the first thing to build rapport is, I would say, is speech. Use the same language. A yellow thong bikini is not the same as a yellow swimsuit. We're talking about the same thing, but different people have different language. So we need to match the language. So the speech is about the language that they use. Listen to the tonality. Listen to the speed at how they talk, and also notice their breathing and model as much as you can. And then move on to the body language and mirror it. So if somebody suddenly crosses their arms, about a minute later, you cross your arms or you cross your legs. Don't do it straight away because then you'll get noticed. Just do that. One leans to a side, you lean to the side. Notice the body language, notice the speech patterns, notice what they talk about, and mirror this. Now, it sounds so silly, but it is so powerful. Good salespeople use this all the time. Great relationships, it happens naturally. Just start watching people and doing that. So those are the tips I'd use for doing this. Do try them. Do the best you can. And if you get any questions, you can send me a DM in the group. You can email me. So it's mark@papaorg.co.uk, or come along to the mental health workshops and I'll answer whatever I can. See you all soon.